Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Last video we went over all the new changes Fortnite introduced to us in Chapter 2, Season 2. But there are so many really cool secret extra features that got added to Creative, and they didn't even mention them anywhere, not even in the patch notes. And I'm here to reveal them to you. Number 1. Triggering on throwing. Let me explain. As you may have noticed, Epic introduced a really cool new feature that allows us to throw consumables now. Although at first sight you might think that this would mainly be for BR or PvP maps, but it actually opened up a ton of new possibilities for so many crazy new mechanics as well. Especially with this first new secret addition we got in Creative as well. For this, we'll have to throw down a trigger and open up the All Options tab. You will notice that we have 3 brand new options here that they didn't even mention anywhere. First one is the triggered by items, then the triggered by vehicles, and the triggered by sequencers. So let me show you guys a little bit what cool things we can do or invent with this new mechanic. First up, the triggered by item options. Or to be more specific, whether or not to activate the trigger when an item hits it or gets dropped on it. So this includes even projectiles. By default, it's set to off, but if we turn it on, we can now have a signal send on the trigger when throwing consumables at it. Let me show you some of the magic we could do with this. We could, for example, set up a system where you can throw your minis into the pool and then just instantly grant you the shield instead of having to drink them. All we have to do is combine a class device and this brand new option on the trigger that we placed inside the pool. And boom, you just throw them in and you're healed. Or how about a weapons recycle system, where you just throw away your weapons and you get materials instead. All we'd have to do for that is just to create a little slide that our weapons go down into, add some lights, some details, and an item spawner. Or maybe just raise some awareness by reminding people to not throw trash into the ocean. The possibilities are endless. Let's continue with the next option. Number 2, triggered by vehicles. Up until this point, we could never really have a way to only trigger something with a vehicle. We could use the damage zones and not affect vehicles, but it's not the same. You might think, but what exactly is the point? Let me show you just one cool example I came up with. We have a trigger here and we placed it against a wall that has both trigger on damage and trigger on player disabled. But the trigger on vehicle enabled, this brand new option. The idea would be that you need to ram your car into the wall to actually open it up. So let's see how that would work. Some more examples would be, for example, you could set up checkpoints for your racing maps or even power-ups for your plane fights. On to number 3. This one is a lot smaller in use, but still worth mentioning, the trigger on sequencer. By default this is set to on, and up until this point sequencers always triggered the triggers inside of the zone, which kind of caused some issues when you wanted to use some triggers in a parkour with moving zones. With this new option you can just turn it off, and even when they're set to damage they will no longer trigger these triggers. Great! On to number 4. Okay, enough with the triggers, let's move on to something completely different. Something that is absolutely unique and just like before, opens up a ton of new extra additions. For this one, we need to open up our island settings. Then scroll all the way to the bottom and then a couple of options back up. You'll find the keep player building structures between rounds. This option was never there and they just secretly added it without even mentioning it to us. And it's all these crazy small additions that make this game so amazing and open up new game modes every time. One of the most popular game modes actually at the moment is box fights. Now, zone wars are great for practicing late game scrims, but box fights are used to just train yourself and simulate how a solos, duos, or even squad fights would go when fighting against experienced players. It helps you train yourself and improve you from keeping track of where all your teammates and enemies are at all times. Now I personally think these new options make a great addition to the game mode, because now after every round, the map will still have all the same builds you had in the previous rounds, making it even better and more realistic to how a fight would be in a BR match, even if you lost it. Which brings us to number 5, Resizable cardboard boxes. This is one of the most fun new additions in the game this season and make for a great extra hiding spot or even jumping boost. But here's something you probably didn't know yet. When placing down a creeping cardboard from the devices tab, so not the ones you're using in the game but the ones you're using in editing mode, just like any device you can just grab them and resize them. This makes for some really funny and crazy extra hiding spots. Now, before you play around with this, be careful because they are a little bit bugged. Especially when resizing them bigger, they become indestructible objects. So be careful to not ruin your entire map with it. But as long as it's not updated, we're gonna have fun with it. Just look at it, and if you crouch, you actually just disappear. How awesome is that? Let's move on to number 6. Although, this one has been in the game for quite a long time now, I only recently stumbled across this feature myself. And it's definitely worth mentioning because I just haven't seen people use it. I'm gonna explain you how to get emojis in your map. Almost every emoji imaginable works, and there are websites that contain searchable lists with thousands of them. But for your convenience, I've also just pasted a list down in the description below. So, to get emojis, all you have to do is grab a billboard and throw it down. The key option here to make the emojis work is change the text font to Burbank. Some emojis will also work on the default font, but a whole lot more of them work on this Burbank. So just be sure to just change it, just to be sure, just in case. Then just go into the description of this video and copy any emote you want and paste it directly in this text box. But wait, while you're down there, why not just hit that like button? It helps out a ton, and thank you to everybody who has been smashing the likes on all previous videos. You guys are the real MVPs that make these videos do so good, so thank you. Okay, let's continue. Just paste the emoji in your text box and boom, you're all done. There might be some occasions where there's like an extra question mark character that pops up, and when you try pressing backspace to delete it, it actually deletes both of them. To fix that, just drag and select the second character and delete it. That should fix it. I'm just mentioning this in case it happens. And don't forget, you can change the text size and even resize your billboard itself in any direction to make them even more unique or different, and make them fit exactly for your needs. Number 7. Decoy grenades. From the little bit of BR I played so far, one of my favorite additions, besides the boxes, are these decoy grenades that just create a copy of your character running around to distract and confuse people. Now, we can't find these grenades in creative inventory, but you can actually get them through the chest trick. Here's the catch, which is sad news. They don't actually spawn the bots yet. Here's the good news. 1. They make some really cool new smoke effects when throwing, but 2, even better, they work with the trigger option we mentioned before. This is the only grenade or projectile that doesn't do anything else except for the effect, so use these in combination for some really cool new mechanics. So how do you get them? Very easy. Grab a chest and ammo gallery from the creative inventory and throw it down. And then just take this legendary chest here and spam copy paste it a couple of times. Then open these chests and there's a fairly high chance one of them will contain these decoy grenades. To then just get them into your actual game, just drop them in an item granter, item spawner, vending machine, class device, or anything else that works for items. And for the final little addition, number 8, probably the smallest but one of the best secret additions that weren't mentioned in the patch notes, the search bar. That's right guys, we finally have the almighty search bar added to our creative inventory. After receiving the major revamp of the inventory in the beginning of last season, everybody was still screaming for this one new feature we finally got. You can now type in any string to filter the results. No longer do we have spent ages trying to find where in the world the snowman gallery is, or the lights one, or maybe you're looking for a device and you just keep looking over it. That's all a thing of the past now. I actually still have to get used to it because usually my muscle memory kicks in and I kind of know where to scroll. But the more devices, galleries, weapons and consumables we get, the more useful this so simple but so powerful new tool will be. And that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on 8 secret things that weren't mentioned anywhere in the patch notes. I'm sure most of you knew some of these, but I think some of these might prove to be extremely useful. So don't forget to hit that like button below and click that subscribe button if you haven't yet. A lot of you guys watching my videos aren't actually subscribed. It's free and it helps out a ton. Thank you guys for all the support, and I'll see you guys very soon.